Welcome back. Kolkata, one of the most densely populated cities in India, has been hit hard by the country's second COVID-19 wave. Stories of the surge have been distressing. People gasping to stay alive as they wait for critical care beds and treatment, and desperate families scrambling for everything from oxygen cylinders to a doctor's appointment.
1,000 miles from Delhi, Kolkata. Look at this. A frighteningly busy market in a region where COVID has surged nearly 80 times in the past 2 months. People here are scared, but they have to work to eat. And this is the cost. In the entrance of a public hospital nearby, people are already struggling to get basic care. All the beds here, hundreds, are already full. And the sick keep coming. I don't know how long we can continue like this, says Dr. Kuldeep Bottabiyal. Even a war comes to an end. But here, it's wave after wave. 1 in 6 people in the world live in India. And Kolkata is among its most densely populated cities. COVID has reached places where families live together in one-room homes. Distancing is impossible. Amit and Aarti Parshad's 63-year-old father died of COVID. They spent the only money they had to try to save him. As it spreads unchecked, the virus is taking on new, more worrying forms. The highly infectious variant that's spreading through India has now reached more than 40 countries around the world, including the UK. This is not an Indian problem. What's happening here could affect the world's ability to recover from the pandemic. I spoke to Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, the World Health Organization's chief scientist. Why should the world care about what's happening in India right now?
This virus does not respect borders. It doesn't respect nationalities. It spreads before you know that it is spreading. If the virus keeps on replicating and multiplying, the number of variants is going to keep increasing, and these variants will ultimately spread across the world. We will not be able to stop that from happening.
The only way out is to immunize this vast population. But vaccine supply is critically low. This country will need billions of doses. It's hard to see how it can do it alone. Yogita Limay, BBC News, Kolkata.
That report from the BBC. The British High Commission has partnered with the Canaries Community Improvement Foundation, CCIF, to tackle a long-standing flood-related issue in the community. The High Commission has funded a project initiative by the CCIF to strengthen and stabilize the banks of the Canaries River. The project involves the systematic planting of the vetiver grass along the riverbank, which stabilizes the soil and makes the bank resilient to flooding. Resident British Commissioner Steve McCready was delighted that the High Commission was able to fund the project and bring much-needed relief to the Canaries community. He said that this project was an ideal nature-based solution to tackle a problem which has affected the community for a long time, but which is growing worse with the effects of climate change. McCready highlighted that the UK government was committed to working alongside local partners such as the CCIF to confront the challenges caused by climate change and its adverse effects on communities like Canaries. The Forestry Department also contributed to the project via a donation of over 300 plants that were being planted alongside the vetiver grass to help stabilize the river bank. A ministerial meeting with the new chief representative for the Japan International Corporation in St. Lucia promised to bear fruits within the fishing sector. The meeting was headed by Agriculture Minister Ezekiel Joseph, with discussions centered on the progress of several projects, including the use of technology in the fishing sector, larger fishing vessels, and improvements to fishing ports.
The new chief representative for the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, in St. Lucia is Mr. Hiroyasu Tanakawa. He was greeted with warm reception by government ministers Honorable Ezekiel Joseph and Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert in their first official meeting recently. Mr. Tanakawa apprised the ministers on Japan's commitment toward the Choiseul Bay dredging project and the status of the Miku jetty procurement, among other areas of cooperation. Tanakawa says the Miku jetty is currently being manufactured in Japan and will hopefully be shipped to St. Lucia by the beginning of 2022.
The contract on the producing of the equipment has already been done last March 2021, and now the supplier is producing the necessary equipment, and hopefully coming October they will send the equipment to St. Lucia, and maybe January 2022 it will be delivered to the St. Lucia.
Honorable Dr. Rigobert, who is parliamentary representative for Miku North, is pleased with the timeline and looks forward to the eventual commissioning of the jetty.
I'm excited by this news. Thank you very much. And to the extent that, as I understand it, that the jetty is being fabricated in Japan, so that by the time it gets here, we're looking at a very short installation period and commissioning of it. So these timelines are exciting. I'm even more confident that we are going to have a jetty for the fishermen. So I eagerly look forward to the completion of the project. Thank you very, very much.
The JICA chief representative also reinforced his government's agreement to dredge the Choiseul Bay as a short-term solution to the silting problem. He noted that assessments prior to a contract for execution would involve a Japanese consultant mission to the island to determine a sustainable relocation for the dredged sediment. This trip, however, has not yet been confirmed due to the scarcity of COVID-19 vaccines in that country. Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives, used the opportunity to forward requests made during discussions with Mr. Tanakawa's predecessor for assistance with integrating more technology and larger vessels for fisherfolk. He also refreshed a petition for assistance to improve fishing infrastructure in Labrie and expand the Dennery fishing port.
Some attention would be given to Dennery. So again, I just want to at least profit the opportunity to inform you that some discussion have taken place with your predecessor and your authority as it pertains to the Dennery situation, and I'm going to continue to engage your good office under your leadership as it pertains to the situation in Dennery.
Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives. 2021 marks the 25th anniversary of technical cooperation between the governments of Japan and St. Lucia. For the Government Information Service, I am Jessie Leonce reporting.
Stay with us when we return the latest weather report.
Makeup provided by Diamond Girl Beauty Supplies.